Good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic is polyneuropathy, right? So, polyneuropathy means the disease which involves the peripheral nervous system. So, it includes degenerative and inflammatory disease of the PNS. If degeneration occurs and inflammation is there in PNS, that is known as polyneuropathy, right? So in this, there is a symmetrical muscular weakness and the wasting of the muscles. So this is the main clinical feature of polyneuropathy: symmetrical muscle weakness and wasting of the muscle, right? And the distal parts are affected first and followed by the involvement of proximal parts. So first, distal parts will be affected, right? So there are so many polyneuropathic conditions like lead polyneuropathy, alcoholic polyneuropathy, diabetic polyneuropathy, carcinomatous neuropathy, hereditary polyneuropathy, and diphtherial polyneuropathy. And the most important condition is GB syndrome, that is Landry-Guillain-Barré syndrome, right? So all these are the polyneuropathic condition, and all these conditions, the peripheral nervous system will be involved. Clear? So first we discuss lead polyneuropathy, right? So there are heavy metals which can cause the neuropathy, in which lead poisoning is very common, right? So main cause of polyneuropathy is heavy metal, that is lead. So the lead polyneuropathy occurs usually in the lead factory workers such as plumbers, painters, and also found in the children who are living near the highways or the main road or the industrial areas, right, where the pollution is very high, right? So concentration of lead is very high in polluted air, right? So in this, the main cause is lead. That's why it is known as lead polyneuropathy, right? So now we discuss sign and symptoms of lead polyneuropathy. First one is the motor fibers of radial nerve, which supplies the extensors of the wrist and fingers, are commonly affected, causing bilaterally the wrist and finger drop, right? Because the radial nerve is involved, so that will lead to wrist drop and finger drop, right? Next is an upper arm type of paralysis, involves the deltoid, biceps, brachialis, and brachioradialis muscles, right? So in the upper limb, all these muscles will be involved. Next feature is the involvement of the lower limb, that is very rare, but sometimes the common peroneal nerve is involved, right? So in upper limb, common nerve, that is radial nerve, that will be involved, and in the lower limb, the common peroneal nerve will be involved, right? And if the common peroneal nerve is involved, that will lead to foot drop, right? Next feature is there is no sensory loss, right? there is no sensory loss. So there is also the presence of signs, also like pain, paresthesia, muscle weakness, tenderness, and atrophy. Right? So these are the signs and symptoms of lead polyneuropathy. So in the upper limb, it affects radial nerve, and the lower limb, it affects common peroneal nerve, right? And there is no sensory loss. Yeah? And the common features are like pain, paresthesia, muscle weakness, tenderness, and atrophy that occurs in lead polyneuropathy, right? So these are signs and symptoms of lead polyneuropathy. Now we discuss pathology. So a progressive deterioration of the anterior horn cells of the spinal cord causing progressive muscular atrophy occasionally occurs, and sometimes degeneration of the corticospinal tracts also occurs, right? So firstly, there occurs the changes in myelin sheath, which is followed by the Wallerian degeneration in the nerve fibers. So first, changes in myelin sheath occurs, and that is followed by the Wallerian degeneration, right? This is lead polyneuropathy. Next is medical management. So in that case, some chelating agents are used by which the metals are attached and then get removed from the body, right? So we use chelating agents. Next is physiotherapy management. Basically, it depends on the disease and it is symptomatic, right? So it's a symptom-based physiotherapy. If weakness is there, if atrophy is there, so accordingly we can give physiotherapy, right? If the patient is having pain, paresthesia, right? So accordingly we can give physiotherapy. There are so many techniques we can use, right? The other polyneuropathic condition is alcoholic polyneuropathy, right? So the polyneuropathy may occur in the persons who are chronic alcoholics, right? So it has been thought to be a form of beriberi, a deficiency of vitamin B1 and urine, and occur because of impairment of their absorption, right? So alcoholic polyneuropathy may result from consumption of spirit or wine over the long periods. The most patients are middle-aged and the males are affected more than the females, right? So basically it occurs in alcoholic persons, especially in males. So the clinical features are same as the general neuropathic symptoms, in which pain, tenderness of the muscles are usually prominent symptoms. So the additional symptoms include, that is, gastritis, and the liver is often enlarged, right? So this is a differential diagnosis. Gastritis and the liver is enlarged in case of alcoholic polyneuropathy, right? Now the treatment of polyneuropathy in general combined with that of alcohol addiction, the main aim being the gradual withdrawal of alcohol, right? This is the main treatment of alcoholic polyneuropathy, right? Ask the patient to stop taking alcohol, right? There are so many de-addiction centers we can advise to their families, right, for de-addiction. Next is parenteral injection of vitamin B should be given, and the fully balanced diet, right? Fully balanced diet we can prescribe to the patient who are suffering from alcoholic polyneuropathy, right? Next one is carcinomatous neuropathy, the other type of polyneuropathic conditions. Carcinomatous neuropathy. So a neuropathy occasionally occurs in association with a carcinoma of the lung, stomach, or ovary, and therefore occur with carcinoma outside the nervous system. Right? So the neuropathy may be primarily motor, sensory, and motor, or purely sensory in its type. Right? So the relationship of neuropathy with the carcinoma is complicated. So the neuropathy sometimes precedes the first symptoms of the carcinoma, occasionally by more than a year. So often the neuropathy progress with the growth of carcinoma and end after the removal of the tumor. Right? So it ends after the removal of the tumor. When you remove the tumor, the symptoms will go off. Right? So this is called carcinomatous neuropathy. Right? Next type is diphtherial polyneuropathy, and this the exotoxin of Porcine bacterium diphtheriae has an affinity for the peripheral nerves, and by this toxin it damages the nerves. Right? This is known as diphtherial polyneuropathy. So paralysis of the palate is usually the earliest nervous symptom. Due to this, the voice changes, it becomes nasal character, and the regurgitation of fluid occurs through the nose in swallowing. Right? So paralysis of accommodation develops, secondly leading to blurring of vision for near objects. So vision will be involved, right? Voice will be involved. And the clinical picture with limbs is typical of polyneuritis, right? Muscle weakness, atrophy, all these. Next is postural sensibility is often greatly impaired and leading to gross ataxia of the lower limbs, right? Next is complications of diphtherial polyneuropathy, the paralysis of the pharynx, larynx, and respiratory muscles. This is the main complication of diphtherial polyneuropathy, right? In this, pharynx, larynx, and respiratory muscles paralysis will be involved, right? So this is diphtherial polyneuropathy. Next type is diabetic polyneuropathy, right? Now we discuss diabetic polyneuropathy. So polyneuropathy in diabetic patient develops after a few years, and it is the complication of diabetes. That's why it is diabetic polyneuropathy. Yeah. So neuropathy in diabetes are of following types. Like the commonest form is a mild chronic symmetrical motor and sensory neuropathy, affecting particularly the lower extremities. The lower extremities are more involved in case of diabetic polyneuropathy. Right? So motor and sensory neuropathy may occur. The clinical features are of sensory disturbance, which may be associated with trophic lesions of the skin and joints, right? So all these symptoms may lead to ataxic gait because of sensory loss. The symptoms looks as of tabes dorsalis, but it can be differentiated by the investigation of blood sugar, right? So this form of neuropathy recovers partially with control of diabetes. So we have to control diabetes, right? Next is an autonomic neuropathy occurs in diabetes and may lead to impotency or disturbances of bowel control, right? Next point is the occasionally wasting may be restricted to the proximal leg muscles, so-called diabetic amyotrophy, with the proximal leg pain and loss of tendon reflexes, right? So patient may have leg pain, especially in the proximal part, and loss of tendon reflexes, right? Next is the patient complains of pain in the lumbar or hip region, so all these are the silent symptoms of diabetic polyneuropathy, right? Next point is the patient complains of pain in the lumbar or hip region, which gets increased at the night, right? So pain in the pelvis region or lumbar region, and there occurs atrophy and muscle weakness. There is no or mild sensation loss. Urinary incontinence occurs. What is incontinence? Incontinence means anyone? What is incontinence? Urinary incontinence is a common feature of diabetic polyneuropathy. Incontinence means the patient is unable to hold urine, right? That is common feature of diabetic polyneuropathy, right? Now we discuss management. First, we have to control diabetes. We should increase the vitamins in diet. Next is the pain management by the medicines. So this is the medical management. Now we discuss physiotherapy management. And this, we have to maintain the joint range of motion. Next is we train the patient to do his daily activities freely, right? That is ADL training. Teach the patient to use the aids correctly, which are given to him, right? The training of gait aids. If a sensory loss is there, then ask the patient to see his skin or joint and tell him how to avoid any injury, right? It means skin care and joint care is very important. Next is improve the coordination and balance of the patient, right? Next is maintain or increase muscle power and strength. So this is physiotherapy management in case of diabetic polyneuropathy. So all these are the types of polyneuropathy, different conditions of polyneuropathy. One more important condition is that is GB syndrome, that is Guillain-Barré syndrome, right? Now we discuss GB syndrome. So this condition may develop acutely or subacutely or following a virus infection, right? So this can occur in men and women both, and the age part play no difference, right? So it may occur in any age, right? So it can occur at any age, but occur more commonly in 30 to 60 years of age, right? So this syndrome is thought to be due to an allergic response of peripheral nervous system. So it can be defined as an acute, usually rapidly progressive form of inflammatory polyneuropathy, which is characterized by muscular weakness and the mild distal sensory loss, right? So in this, about two-thirds of the cases begin 5 days to 3 weeks after an infectious disorder, surgery, or an immunization, right? So after surgery or after immunization, infection may occur, right? And this infection will be viral infection, right? And it is rapidly progressive inflammatory disease. Clear? So organisms that have been specifically implicated are Campylobacter jejuni, which causes diarrhea, and the Epstein-Barr virus, which causes glandular fever, right? And sometimes the vaccinations may also precipitate its onset, right? So viral infection is a common cause of GB syndrome, Guillain-Barré syndrome. Now we discuss sign and symptoms. The first sign is symmetrical weakness with paresthesia. It begins from the legs and progress to the arms, or the paralysis starts distally and move proximally, right? So it begins in the legs, right, and progress to the arms, and the paralysis starts from the distal part to the proximal parts, right? The point is symmetrical weakness with paresthesia, right? Next is the weakness is always more prominent than sensory abnormalities and may be most prominent proximally. Yeah. Next is back pain is major symptom in about 1/3 of the patient. So back pain is a common feature in case of Guillain-Barré syndrome, right? Next is sensory loss is usually not found, or there may be impairment of sensation in gloves and stocking distribution. Gloves and stocking means distal part of the hand and distal part of the leg that will be involved, right? So there may be an impairment of sensation. Next is deep tendon reflexes are lost or diminished. So we have to check tendon response or reflex. We have to check. Next is the muscles of the trunk and the head may also be affected during the progression of the disease. Right? So muscles of the trunk and the head, right? That will be involved. Next is sphincters are usually spared. The patient complains of pain and there is tenderness on the pressure at motor points. Right? Next is autonomic dysfunctions, inappropriate ADH secretions, cardiac arrhythmias, pupillary changes occurs in a severe cases. Right? Next is the nerve conduction velocities are reduced because of involvement of peripheral nerves. Right? The respiratory paralysis, respiratory failure, and deep vein thrombosis, the complication of GB syndrome. Right? So, cause of respiratory failure, the patient may be shifted to ICU. Right? So these are the signs and symptoms of Guillain-Barré syndrome. Symmetrical weakness, right? Atrophy, back pain, sensory loss, deep tendon reflexes, impairment, involvement of trunk and head muscles, neck muscles, sphincters, usually spared, right? So all these are the signs and symptoms of Guillain-Barré syndrome, right? Anybody has seen the cases? Guillain-Barré syndrome. Anyone? Have you seen case of GB syndrome? Esthira, Bushra, Pragati? Anyone?
सर यस सर लास्ट ईयर इन ओपीडी एक केस था.
लास्ट ईयर केस था. ओके.
यस सर.
क्या प्रॉब्लम्स थी उसको?
सर जब मतलब उनका लेट में काफी टाइम बाद में वो आए थे तो उनका मसल वीकनेस बहुत ज्यादा था. तो स्ट्रेंथनिंग के लिए प्रॉपर फोकस किया जा रहा था कि सारी जितनी भी मसल्स है वेदर इट्स अपर एक्सट्रीमिटी और फॉर अ लोअर एक्सट्रीमिटी स्ट्रेंथनिंग पे ध्यान दे रहे थे क्योंकि वो मसल्स बहुत वीक थी.
और भी कुछ सिस्टम्स इन्वॉल्व थे लाइक रेस्पिरेटरी और some reproductory और gastric complications कुछ थे नहीं थे?
Sir, actually, I was in a second year, so I don't have that much of knowledge.
So now you can correlate all these signs and symptoms with the cases, right? So next is pathology of GB syndrome. There are two types of pathology occurring in GB syndrome. One is like demyelination, and secondly, the axonal degeneration, right? So firstly, the Schwann cells, which are responsible for myelin synthesis, these are involved in this disease, which can cause the segmental demyelination of the nerves, right? So in this condition, the nerve can conduct the impulse, but the velocity of conduction is reduced. That is the main function of myelin sheath, right? So that will be reduced. Velocity conduction will be reduced. So because the axons remain intact and does not get damaged, right? In severe lesions, the axonal degeneration occurs. After that, no impulses can pass through the nerve fiber. So one condition is demyelination, degeneration of myelin sheath or degeneration of Schwann cells. The second one is axonal degeneration. After this axonal degeneration, the impulses cannot pass through the nerve fibers. right? Next point is the nerve conduction studies are usually abnormal in case of GB syndrome with marked slowing of motor conduction and impaired sensory conduction, right? Next one is the lumbar puncture is usually performed to confirm the diagnosis, right? Next one is the recovery and prognosis. Now we check recovery and prognosis. Prognosis is usually good if it is not epidemic. The recovery time is generally 3 to 6 months, right? And sometimes the time period is 1 to 2 years. So in this period, you can see the drastic changes in the patient, right? The recovery may be 100%. And the recovery occurs by the means of axonal regeneration and remyelination of peripheral axons. So regeneration occurs, remyelination occurs, right? And recovery occurs completely. In less severe cases, the nerve conduction velocity returns to the normal limits, and where the axonal damage occurs, the conduction and velocity may be permanently disturbed, right? If axons are damaged, conduction and velocity may be permanently disturbed. There will be no impulse conduction in case of axonal degeneration, right? So all this depends on the condition. Prognosis depends on the involvement of this thing. Now we discuss treatment. So the patient is managed in ICU if there is paralysis of respiratory muscles, right? And by this treatment, mortality rate is decreased because it's a common complication of GB syndrome, that is respiratory paralysis. So we can shift the patient to the ICU, right? So tracheostomy and artificial ventilation may be necessary. So the nursing care is also very important, and this fluid is intake, skin care, pressure points, and care of bladder and bowel, mouth care, pharynx are also done, right? So nursing care is very important in case of GB syndrome, right? Now we discuss treatment. In treatment, ACTH is given to the patients. By this, the inflammation is decreased. In GB syndrome, corticosteroids worsen the outcome and should not be used, right? So treatment depends on doctor's advice always. So plasmapheresis helps when performed early in the disease, and it is the treatment of choice in acutely ill patients, right? Next is daily infusion of immunoglobulin 400 milligram per kg per day is given during the first 2 weeks, right? So infusion of immunoglobulin, that is very important, right? In chronic relapsing polyneuropathy, corticosteroids improve weakness and may be needed for a long time, right? Immunosuppressive drugs and plasmapheresis benefit some patients, right? So this is medical management. Now we discuss physiotherapy management. So some patients are mildly affected and make a rapid recovery, and others are left with a residual disability. For example, hand weakness, foot drop, and they need walking aids, right? So the latter group will require a long-term rehabilitation, right? So aims and means of physiotherapy management we can discuss, right? We all know about aims. Next is counseling. So being completely paralyzed and requiring ventilatory support, it is terrifying experience and patients needs to be given a full account of their illness, a likely duration of paralysis, and a strong likelihood of very good recovery. So counseling is very important. It plays a very good role in recovery, right? Counselors plays a very important role in rehabilitation, right? Next is GB syndrome should be considered as a diagnosis in anyone presenting with acute or subacute progressive weakness. So common initial symptoms are back pain, paresthesia, and weakness. Right? So these are common symptoms: back pain, paresthesia, and weakness. Next is bilateral facial weakness. It may also occur. Right? Respiratory paralysis may develop rapidly, and the patient should be admitted to the hospital as soon as the diagnosis is suspected. Right? If the respiratory system is involved, we refer the patient to the hospital immediately. Right? This is all about GB syndrome, Guillain-Barré syndrome. Right? Now we discuss physiotherapy assessment of the polyneuropathies. So first you have to keep all the silent symptoms in your mind, and then you can make a good assessment chart. Right? First one is respiratory pattern. So during inspiration, air is pushed into the lungs by the pressure of the outside air, and during ordinary expiration, air is expelled from the lungs. This is mechanism, right? You have to check properly. Next is rate of respiration. You have to check chest expansion. You have to check, right? Chest expansion. So chest expansion may be measured by using tape, normal float tape we can use. In this, we put a flat tape around the chest, and the patient is then asked to breathe out as far as possible. We ask the patient to breathe out maximum, right? So in this time, the measuring tape is tight, and he is then asked to breathe in as deeply as possible, right? So at the same time, allowing the tape to be released, and the measurement of expansion of chest is taken. So at least two measurements are recorded. And the measurements are usually taken at the three levels. One is fourth costal cartilage level, fourth. Next one is seventh costal cartilage level, right? And the other one is at the anterior end of the ninth costal cartilage level. So fourth, seventh, and ninth costal cartilage level. Right? So you have to count the level first, then you can measure correctly. Right? So you have to check the chest expansion correctly. Next is vital capacity. You have to check. Right? The measurement of vital capacity using a spirometer that can be recorded by the means of graph and can be give some idea of the power of muscles and mobility of the thorax. Right? So for the vital capacity, we can use spirometer. Next is motor function. You have to check. In that, you have to check muscle power. You can use Oxford scale or Lovett scale. Generally, we use Oxford scale. Reflexes you have to check, right? Your tendon reflexes. So there are two types of abnormalities in tendon reflexes, like exaggeration of the reflexes. It means this type of reflex is seen in lesion of the upper motor neuron, hyperreflexia, right? Exaggeration of the reflexes we can see in case of lesion in the upper motor neuron type of injury, right? Or reflex may be absent or it may be reduced, right? In case of element type of injury, right? Element type of lesion. So reflexes you have to check. You have to check motor power, right? Next is muscle tone. You have to check muscle tone. So loss of muscle tone, that is known as placidity, and increased muscle tone, that is known as spasticity, right? So muscles are lax and flaccid and offer no resistance to passive movement, and so by this the joint range of movement is increased, right? So there is no resistance to the passive movement, right? So this condition is known as placidity, and they have difficulty in maintaining the position of the limb. The tendon reflexes are decreased or absent. So what are the common causes of hypotonia? The lesion of the motor side of the reflex arc, one. Lesion of the sensory side of the reflex arc, number two. Number three, combined motor and sensory lesions, right? Next one is lesions of the muscles itself, right? And the other one is the status of the neurological shock, right? These are common causes of hypotonia, right? Neurological shock, you can get hypotonia, lesion of the muscle, combined motor and sensory lesions. In all these conditions, we can get hypotonia, reduced muscle tone. Next one is increased tone of muscles or spasticity. So this is the hyper-excitability condition of the muscle. Spasticity, right? There are three types of hypertonicity, increased muscle tone. In the spastic type of tone, the resistance is greater in one group of muscle than in the antagonist, right? So one is clasp knife type of spasticity. Another one is lead pipe rigidity. And one more type is that is cogwheel type of rigidity, right? So what is clasp knife type of spasticity? In this type, the resistance is normally present when the movement is started and then is suddenly overcome. The affected muscles are compact at the rest, feel firm, and do not felt on a palpation and tend to form contractures. This is clasp knife type of spasticity, right? So initially the patient feels resistance when he starts movement, right? After this, it overcomes, right? Moves smoothly. The joint moves smoothly, right? That is clasp knife type of spasticity. The other type is lead pipe rigidity, and there's equal resistance in both agonist and antagonist at any point can be felt. Right? This is lead pipe type of rigidity. Lead pipe. Throughout the range, you can feel resistance. Right? Lead pipe rigidity. Next one is cogwheel type. Cogwheel type, and this the agonist and antagonist contract alternately, rapidly, and regularly during the movement. Right? This is cogwheel type of rigidity. One is clasp, knife type of spasticity, lead pipe rigidity, cogwheel type rigidity. Right? Next one is girth, muscle girth. You have to measure. Right? So the girth of the muscle can be measured by using float tape. Right? So it is measured to detect the degree of wasting of the muscle and atrophy of the muscles. Right? Next one is gait. You have to measure. You have to check gait. Right? Patient gait. Next one is joint range of motion. You have to check all the joints which are involved. Right? Next one is sensation. You have to check. For this, you have a grading system. S0, S1, S2, S3, and S4 from 0 to 4. Right? What is S0? That is absent sensation in the area exclusively supplied by the affected nerve. Means there is no sensation. Next one is S1, recovery of deep cutaneous pain. That is S1. The patient feels deep cutaneous pain. S1. S2, return of some superficial cutaneous pain and tactile sensibility. This one is S2. Right? Next one is S3, return of 2-point discrimination. That is S3. Right? That's why we check 2PD. That is 2-point discrimination. And S4, S4 means normal sensation. Right? So by this grading system, we can check sensation. Next thing is we have to check pain sensation. We have to check light touch sensation, temperature sense, joint position sense. We have to check vibration test. We have to do right diagnosis, 2-point discrimination. All these we have to check. Right. So this is assessment. Right. Now we discuss physiotherapy management in acute progressive stage. Right. What may be the progressive management? In this condition, the respiratory system is involved. So the aims of treatment are like it maintain the clear airway by removal of lung secretions, right? So you have to keep the airway clean, right? The second one is maintain the normal range of motion, proper positioning of the limb to prevent deformity and contractures. Next one is skin care to prevent wet sore formation. You all know about pressure sore management, right? Next one is maintain peripheral blood circulation, maintenance of nutrition of the muscles, and give psychological support to the patient and to the family members, right? So this is the physiotherapy management. You have to give an acute progressive stage. Next one is recovery stage. In recovery stage, where the patient maintains his own ventilation, and an assessment is required to find out the level of prognosis and define new treatment. Right? So in this, balancing exercises you can give to improve balance, gait training, right? Strengthening exercises, joint range of motion exercises you can give. You can give breathing exercises, respiratory care you can use, right? So there are so many techniques you can use. Hydrotherapy, you can use hydrotherapy to improve the general condition of the patient. The pain management, you can. So pain is also the feature of polyneuropathy. And so the pain relieving property of water is helpful, and the patient is benefited in case of hydrotherapy. So main aim of hydrotherapy is to increase muscle power, improve coordination and balance of the patient. Right? But care is required, especially in case of classic condition, classic joints. The cool environment is an excellent medium to work on a rotation, control, and balance mechanism, re-education, both in early stages and later stages. Right? If sensory loss has occurred, careful protection of the skin is required. So the patient may need to wear socks. In later stages, the patient may work on more functional activities such as walking and step ups. Cardiovascular fitness is an important part of the treatment plan. Right? So this is all about management of polyneuropathy. Now, if you want to ask anything, you can ask. Chapter is over. Polyneuropathy. Anything? Any doubt? Any questions? Any queries? No. So take care, read all the slides. I'll give you slides, right? You read slides, and if you have any doubt, you can ask in the next classes, right? Okay, take care.